In 2001, I was a youth pastor, and I was in the Christian Missionary Alliance, and they have a big youth event that they call Life. So it was Life 2001, and it was in Columbus, Ohio. And so we raised money. We did fundraisers of all types. We sold cards. We had spaghetti dinners. We just did anything we could try to do to come up with money, because there were 21 of us that were going, and it was going to be about $15,000. So that was like this big event in my life. The reason I had to raise that much money is because I had all these youth kids that weren't really interested in God, but they were interested in a free trip. And I told them, if they want to go, I will make sure somehow we get the money. So we're out at Life, and we're in the big arena where the Blue Jackets play. And my kids could care less. They're not paying attention. They're not listening. Half of them are sleeping. And one night, the speaker was talking about how much God loves us. And he was funny. He was witty. He was engaging. I was emotionally drawn in. And I looked over at these kids, and they just didn't care. They were sleeping, their feet were up, they were talking to each other. And this was before the era of cell phones. I can't imagine what they would be doing today. And I sat there and my heart broke, because I just thought, God, if you love us this much, then why don't we know? And the answer came almost instantaneously. It was like a lightning bolt in my mind, and it was this: because the people that God has sent to love the world haven't loved the world. See, it's hard to believe that God, who you can't see, loves you when people who say they believe in God and say they love you don't love you. And in that moment, I realized that I had been thinking about a lot of things backwards. See, in the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says, if someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if someone asks you to go 1 mile, go 2 miles. And if someone wants to borrow your coat, give them your shirt. And I had just sort of intuitively understood that to mean because it's good for you and it builds character. So it's good for you to go 2 miles because it builds character. And it's good for you to turn the other cheek because it builds character. And it's good for you to give away your shirt and your coat because it builds character. But in that moment, I realized God wasn't telling me to go the extra mile because it was good for me. He was telling me to go the extra mile because I am his ambassador. And if he were here and someone asked him to go 1 mile, he would go 2. And if he were here and someone struck him on the right cheek, he would turn the other also. And if he were here and someone needed a coat, he would give them a shirt as well. And if you have been hurt by somebody in the church who said they loved God and said they loved you, but treated you in an awful way, I just want to say, on behalf of the church, I'm sorry. And I want you to know that God does love you and that we are to be his ambassadors. And I just ask you, give God another chance. God bless you. That's not how I wanted it to go. Somewhere in the end, it like fished